At 2 a.m., I heard the sound of her key turning in the lock. My unfaithful wife murmured, "He won't notice." Then, a man's voice answered, "It's time to cleanse your reputation with the very soil that once stained it." The paternity test results rested crumpled in Matthew Collins's weathered hands, akin to a grim decree. 2 boys, aged 11 and 8, filled with bedtime stories, scraped knees, and moments of a proud father. Far from his blood, not even in the slightest. The paper quivered in Matthew's hands as he scrutinized the numbers once more, the faint glow of his repair truck casting shadows around him. Child A, no likelihood of paternity. Child B, with a probability of paternity standing at 0%. The clinical language pierced through him like ice picks, driving deep into his chest. For months, he had harbored a suspicion. Sophia's late-night phone calls, her newfound fascination with lavish attire, the way she recoiled at his attempts to reach for her. Yet this was annihilation cloaked in the guise of scientific authority. Matthew meticulously folded the papers and tucked them into his toolbox, nestled beside the robust wrenches that had forged his humble refrigeration repair enterprise from the ground up. 15 years of union. 13 years spent under the conviction of fatherhood. Everything constructed upon deceptions so dense they could suffocate. His phone vibrated with a sudden urgency. A message from Ryan Whitaker, who claims to be both a business partner and a friend. "Hello, my friend. Is that wine fridge giving you trouble once more? Would you care to drop by this evening? Sophia indicated that you're available." Matthew gazed intently at the message. Ryan's residence, the venue for Sophia's Tuesday evenings dedicated to the book club, where she professed to engage in literary discussions with the wives of the neighborhood. The very Ryan who had been assisting Matthew in broadening his enterprise, supplying wholesale parts at prices that reflected their camaraderie. Matthew responded with a quick message, "On my way." The journey to Ryan's McMansion unfolded over 12 minutes, winding through suburban avenues adorned with immaculate lawns and carefully crafted deceptions. Matthew eased his way into the circular driveway, his weathered service truck standing out like an unwelcome blemish beside Ryan's immaculate BMW and Mercedes. Ryan opened the door, clad in a luxurious silk bathrobe, his hair still glistening with moisture from a recent shower. "Matthew, I appreciate you coming out at this late hour, my friend. The wine fridge has ceased to cool entirely. You're aware of the situation, right? There are some pricey bottles tucked away in there. Absolutely fine." Matthew lifted his toolbox with a determined grip. "Guide us forward." The air was thick with the scent of luxurious cologne and an intimate warmth. Matthew trailed behind Ryan, navigating the marble corridors adorned with abstract art, pieces that likely surpassed Matthew's annual earnings in value. They ventured down into a completed basement, reminiscent of a gentleman's club, adorned with leather furniture, crystal decanters, and the disgruntled hum of a wine fridge in the corner. "It began emitting strange sounds yesterday," Ryan recounted, as he sank into a leather chair, a glass of scotch in hand, before it ultimately succumbed entirely this morning. Matthew knelt beside the unit, his fingers gliding over the well-known components. A slack compressor belt. A quick solution that takes just 15 minutes. He lifted the lid of his toolbox and set to work, his hands moving with the ease of familiarity as his thoughts delved into shadowy considerations. "How is Sophia faring these days?" Ryan inquired with a nonchalant air. She appeared to be under considerable stress during her last visit. Matthew's wrench slipped, almost grazing his knuckles raw. "At what time did that occur?" "On Tuesday evening. The book club gathers, as you might expect. Between us, I suspect the women indulge in wine more often than they immerse themselves in literature." Ryan let out a soft chuckle. "I have no grievances to voice. Sophia is an exceptional companion." The compressor belt returned to its rightful position with a gratifying snap. Matthew rose to his feet, sweeping the dust from his knees. "Would it be all right if I used your bathroom? Has it been a long day?" "Absolutely. The master bedroom is located upstairs. It stands as the sole option, boasting commendable water pressure." Matthew ascended the stairs with deliberate slowness, each step resembling a march toward his own demise. The master bedroom stood as a testament to opulence, featuring a California king bed draped in black silk sheets, a walk-in closet that dwarfed Matthew's entire garage, and a bathroom that could easily grace the halls of a luxury hotel. He splashed cold water onto his face, gazing intently at his reflection in the ornate gold-framed mirror T41, with gray subtly weaving through his once brown hair. His hands bear the marks of grease and the integrity of hard labor. What had he anticipated? Could it be that a woman such as Sophia would find lasting contentment with a man of his caliber for all eternity? Matthew extended his hand toward a towel, but suddenly halted, caught in a moment of stillness. Amidst the array of luxurious bath products, a Polaroid photograph lay hidden, waiting to be discovered. His heart ceased to beat entirely. Sophia, his wife, adorned in nothing but a striking black lingerie he had never encountered, struck a sultry pose atop the marble vanity where Matthew now found himself standing. The wedding ring sparkled on her finger as she caressed herself, her gaze fixed on the camera, radiating a raw desire that Matthew hadn't witnessed in years. The photograph trembled in Matthew's grasp, the words inscribed at the bottom in Sophia's delicate script. For my true companion. Matthew tucked the photo away and descended the stairs, his legs heavy as if fashioned from solid stone. Ryan poured himself another glass of scotch, exuding an air of complete relaxation. Everything sorted, Matthew remarked, his voice echoing oddly, as if from afar. The compressor belt had come loose, but it should operate smoothly now. You're a true hero, my friend. Ryan retrieved his wallet. What is my debt to you? Silence reigns. Friends support one another, don't they? Ryan flashed a grin and reached out his hand. Matthew shook it, acutely aware of the softness of Ryan's palm in stark contrast to his own scarred knuckles. Hands that belonged to a rich man, hands that had never known the toil of construction, the labor of repair, or the hard-won rewards of sweat and sacrifice. Sophia's fortunate to have someone like you, Ryan remarked. Steadfast, trustworthy, the very essence of integrity. Wouldn't you agree? Indeed, Matthew responded. I am fully aware of my identity. The journey back felt as though it were carrying Mary through a haunting dream. Matthew's house appeared diminished, the unassuming two-story colonial overshadowed by the recollection of Ryan's grand estate. Sophia's car was absent from the driveway, likely lingering at book club or perhaps nestled in Ryan's bed. Matthew lingered in his truck for 20 minutes, gazing at the house he had once envisioned as the foundation of a family. The Polaroid pressed against his chest, nestled within his work shirt, close to his heart, evoking a sensation akin to acid. The sound of his phone ringing pierced the silence. Sophia. Hey darling, the book club is running late this evening. Please don't stay up for me, all right? My affection for you knows no bounds. Love you, too, Matthew said automatically, the words sharp and jagged on his tongue. As Matthew finally stepped inside, the boys lay in peaceful slumber. He lingered in the threshold of their shared sanctuary, observing Evan and Jake as they slumbered serenely beneath their vibrant superhero blankets, the ages of 11 and 8. The DNA pointed to Ryan Whitaker, not Matthew Collins. Yet they remained unaware of that fact. They referred to him as Dad, embraced him upon his return from work, sought his assistance in repairing their bikes, and turned to him for help with their homework. That love existed in its truest form, regardless of the biological truths that surrounded it. Matthew extracted the paternity test results, scrutinizing them one last time before surrendering the papers to the relentless teeth of the kitchen shredder. The device devoured the laboratory evidence of his disgrace with a chilling precision. Yet what about the Polaroid? That remained. Proof for the future. Sophia returned home at 2:17 a.m., gliding into bed like a specter. Her scent was a blend of luxurious soap and an intriguing cologne. Matthew feigned slumber, attuned to the cadence of her breath as it fell into the steady pattern of a soul at peace. The morning arrived, bringing with it the familiar whirlwind of activity. The morning unfolded with the clamor of breakfast, backpacks strewn about, and the boys squabbling over cereal bowls, all while Sophia hurried through her real estate office attire. She bid Matthew farewell with lips that had tasted another man's kiss just hours before. Wishing you a delightful day, my dear. My affection for you knows no bounds. I cherish you as well. Once the last guest departed, Matthew settled at his kitchen table, immersed in thought and strategy. Revenge was not merely a dish to be savored in the chill of detachment. It was a creation that demanded meticulous craftsmanship, requiring both precision and unwavering patience. Point one misstep and everything would come crashing down around him. Initially, he required additional proof. The Polaroid was impactful yet incomplete. Matthew dedicated the morning to embedding a voice-activated recording app within the labyrinth of Sophia's laptop's system files, ensuring it remained concealed from her discovery. He proceeded to clone her phone, diverting all texts and calls to a burner device he had purchased with cash. By the afternoon, Matthew had pieced together the full extent of his wife's betrayal, messages exchanged over 8 months, revealing photographs and audio recordings capturing moments of intimacy during Matthew's late nights in the garage. Financial records revealed that Sophia had been transferring funds from their joint account to Ryan's business. Yet, the most unsettling revelation lay hidden within a folder ominously titled Future Plans. Legal documents lay before them, divorce papers meticulously prepared, custody agreements designating Sophia as the primary custodian of the boys, while Matthew found himself obligated to pay the highest child support for children who were not his own. Every detail had been meticulously arranged by her. The liaison lacked fervor. It was a calculated maneuver. Matthew meticulously printed each document, every photograph, and all text messages. He meticulously arranged the evidence in manila folders, constructing a case file, for that was precisely the task at hand. The following 3 weeks proved to be the most challenging of Matthew's existence. Feigning a sense of normalcy while meticulously chronicling each deception, each act of treachery, each instance of casual cruelty, Sophia became increasingly audacious, lingering into the night, and showing less restraint in masking her disdain for Matthew and the monotonous existence they shared. "Perhaps you ought to consider broadening the horizons of the business," she proposed during dinner one evening. Ryan mentions that there are numerous prospects in the realm of commercial refrigeration. Substantial wealth. Ryan has a tendency to express numerous thoughts. Matthew responded with caution. "He is making an effort to assist you, Matthew. Only the divine can comprehend the necessity of it. This way of living cannot endure indefinitely." The boys exchanged glances with their parents, acutely aware of an unspoken tension that eluded their comprehension. Evan, the elder of the two, extended his hand and gently patted Matthew's palm. "Father, are you all right?" Matthew compelled a smile to surface. "Feeling a bit worn out, my friend. Professional matters." Under the cloak of darkness, Matthew tuned in to Sophia's conversation with Ryan, captured through his concealed recordings. "He's so pathetic," Sophia's voice crackled through the earpiece. "It merely remains, resembling a dejected canine, abandoned and forlorn. I find myself nearly feeling pity for him." "Not much longer," Ryan replied. "When the divorce is finalized, you will find yourself unshackled. We shall both do so. What of the boys? What is to be said of them? Matthew will provide child support, ensuring they have a genuine father figure in their lives. Mutually beneficial." Matthew switched off the recording device and gazed at the ceiling, lost in thought until the first light of dawn broke through as the month drew to a close. A chance unfurled before Matthew. A substantial shipment of commercial refrigeration units arrived at Ryan's warehouse, representing a contract valued at nearly $500,000. The delivery was set for a Friday evening, a time when the majority of businesses had shuttered their doors. Matthew had immersed himself in the intricacies of the warehouse's security system for weeks. Ryan's hubris led him to forego substantial security measures, opting instead for rudimentary cameras and motion sensors that a competent technician could effortlessly circumvent. On a Friday night, Matthew left his car 6 blocks behind and made his way to the warehouse. A gym bag filled with tools slung over his shoulder. With deft precision, he sliced through the fence behind the loading dock, silencing the alarm system with the expertise honed over 15 years of responding to emergencies. Within the confines of the warehouse lay a labyrinth of piled appliances and components. Matthew glided through the shadows, a spectral figure, as he discreetly placed tiny devices around the building. Not explosive materials. Nothing that could cause harm to anyone. A creation of far greater elegance. Refrigerant gas. ammonia-based coolant that would gradually seep from punctured lines over the course of the weekend. By Monday morning, the entire warehouse would exude the unmistakable stench of a chemical disaster zone. The health department would swiftly intervene, leading to the immediate closure, and with it, Ryan's substantial $500,000 contract would dissipate, taking his business reputation with it. Matthew carefully concealed several small packets of marijuana in well-chosen spots. Nothing of great significance, merely sufficient to incite charges of pill possession when the authorities inevitably conducted their search of the tainted building. Yet, the true work of art lay within Ryan's office computer. Matthew executed a cunning plan, deploying a virus designed to gradually erode the hard drive's integrity, all the while stealthily transmitting Ryan's financial records to an anonymous tip line, igniting a potential tax fraud investigation. At 3 a.m., Matthew returned to the sanctuary of his home, settling into bed while the soft sound of Sophia's gentle snoring filled the air. Unbeknownst to her, the very foundation of her existence was on the brink of unraveling. Saturday morning heralded the beginning of the cascade. At the stroke of 8 a.m., Matthew's phone erupted into sound. "Is that you, Matthew? Thank the heavens, it's Ryan. I could really use your assistance, my friend." A disturbance lingers within the confines of the warehouse. The air carries the unmistakable scent of a chemical leak. "Are you familiar with refrigerant systems?" Matthew rubbed his eyes, a wave of grogginess washing over him. "Is there a chemical leak? That seems quite perilous, Ryan. Perhaps it would be wise to contact the fire department. This establishment cannot be allowed to close its doors. A significant delivery is scheduled for Monday morning. Would you mind taking a moment to look, please? I apologize, my friend. That exceeds my current abilities. Hazmat specialists are essential for addressing chemical leaks." Matthew set down the phone and cast a pleased glance at his coffee cup as Monday dawned. The local news began to air reports concerning the enigmatic contamination at Morrow Appliance Distribution. The contracts held by Ryan were terminated. An investigation was initiated by his insurance company. An anonymous tip regarding unreported income reached the IRS. Yet Matthew was merely beginning his journey. Tuesday ushered in Phase 2. Sophia's car, a leased BMW that strained her finances, experienced an enigmatic mechanical breakdown in the parking lot of her real estate office. During a staff meeting, the refrigeration unit in the trunk, designed to keep champagne chilled for client celebrations, unexpectedly exploded. Though no one was injured, the ensuing turmoil obliterated Sophia's carefully crafted presentation for a significant client. Even more troubling, the inquiry uncovered that the unit had been intentionally manipulated. Investigators delving into insurance fraud started probing into Sophia's recent financial dealings, raising unsettling inquiries. Matthew observed the news coverage from the confines of his garage, enveloped by the instruments of his craft. Each wrench, each gauge, each component transformed into a tool of his relentless battle against treachery. On Wednesday, Ryan reached out once more. "Matthew, I have a question for you, and I hope you'll be honest with me. Have you visited my warehouse lately? Is this your warehouse? What could possibly draw me to that place? My inventory has been sabotaged by someone. Career-oriented position. A matter that demands profound technical expertise." Matthew halted, allowing the stillness to linger. Do you believe I undermined your business? I'm at a loss for thoughts these days. All is unraveling. The tax authorities are breathing down my neck. The insurance refuses to cover the contamination, and now Sophia finds herself grappling with car troubles as well. It feels as though there's a force conspiring against the two of us. Perhaps it would be wise to reflect on your recent decisions, Matthew suggested softly. At tea times, the repercussions linger in the shadows, biding their time before they reveal themselves. The connection was lost. On Thursday evening, an unexpected visitor arrived at Matthew's doorstep. Michelle, Sophia's sister, rapped on his door, her expression a mix of discomfort and anger. "We need to talk," Michelle said, brushing past Matthew and stepping into the house. In the living room, a space where Matthew had once nurtured the illusion of belonging to a joyful family, they sat in silence. Michelle grasped the manila envelope with a fierce intensity, as if it were a weapon in her hands. "Sophia requested that I hand these to you," she said, as she slid the divorce papers across the coffee table. She will be residing at a hotel until your departure. Matthew cast a fleeting look at the papers, refraining from making contact. Is it really that simple? Matthew, it's clear that this marriage has long since reached its conclusion. Sophia is worthy of happiness. The boys are worthy of stability. What does stability truly mean? Matthew's laughter echoed, reminiscent of clanking gears in disarray. How intriguing, especially when it comes from Sophia. Michelle's cheeks turned a deep shade of crimson. I understand that you're in pain, but prolonging this situation won't benefit anyone involved. Execute the documents, divide the possessions, and negotiate the guardianship. Let us approach this with maturity. Matthew rose from his seat and made his way to the filing cabinet. He retrieved a substantial folder and placed it on the table beside the divorce papers. Before I sign anything, Matthew said, I think you should see what kind of woman your sister truly is. As Michelle opened the folder, a pallor washed over her face. Images captured, messages exchanged, financial documents laid bare, 8 months of meticulously recorded betrayal and deceit, arranged with an almost clinical exactness. Oh my God, Michelle whispered, her gaze fixed on the Polaroid from Ryan's bathroom. Matthew, I was completely unaware. I hadn't either, until just recently with trembling hands. Michelle turned the pages of evidence, each one revealing more than the last. The boys may not share my blood, but for more than 10 years, I have embraced the role of their father in every sense that truly counts. This is utterly unbelievable. Sophia is unable. She simply wouldn't. Matthew retrieved his phone and initiated a playback of a recorded conversation. The sound of Sophia's voice resonated throughout the room. Matthew is truly a fool. He genuinely believes those children belong to him. When this concludes, he will be responsible for child support for Ryan's sons, while I reside in that lovely house. It is flawless. Michelle let the folder slip from her grasp, photographs bursting forth and scattering across the floor like fragments from a shattered existence. I need to go, she said, her legs trembling beneath her. Michelle paused at the threshold as Matthew's voice called out to her. When you encounter your sister, convey to her that I received the message with utmost clarity, and let her know that I am responding in kind. On a crisp Friday morning, Matthew made his way to the forsaken ice factory that lay on the fringes of town. He had a brief stint there after high school, prior to embarking on his entrepreneurial journey. The structure stood vacant for 5 long years, yet the ancient refrigeration systems remained remarkably preserved. Enormous systems capable of chilling an entire city block. Matthew dedicated the day to meticulously arranging the space. He manipulated the primary cooling system to broadcast images and sound across the entire structure. He positioned cameras in carefully chosen spots. He even brought folding chairs, as if preparing for a performance, for that was precisely what this occasion entailed, an exhibition of skill. The concluding chapter of Matthew Collins's metamorphosis from prey to predator. On a Saturday afternoon, Matthew dispatched a message to Ryan using a burner phone, an urgent gathering to discuss the insurance claim. Ice production facility located on Industrial Road. Arrive by yourself. Substantial sums at stake. Half an hour later, he dispatched another message to Sophia from the same device. Matthew is concocting a rather foolish scheme. Let us rendezvous at the abandoned ice factory. We must intervene before he brings ruin to all that we hold dear. Matthew made his way to the factory, where he settled in to wait. Ryan was the first to arrive, his BMW standing in stark contrast to the dilapidated industrial structure beside it. He stepped inside with a sense of trepidation, his voice echoing softly, "Hello, is there anyone present? I received your message regarding the insurance matter." Matthew emerged from the shadows, reminiscent of a figure straight out of a chilling horror tale. His work attire was immaculate, and his tools were meticulously arranged with the precision of a surgeon on a nearby table. "Greetings, Ryan?" Ryan whirled, his expression shifting from bewilderment to understanding, and ultimately settling into a deep-seated fear. "Matthew, what on earth is this all about?" "It concerns the essence of truth," Matthew stated with a serene demeanor. It appears to be something that both you and my wife have a strong aversion to. Listen, if this concerns Sophia, it encompasses everything. Matthew waved his hand toward the enormous screens he had arranged around the room, each one a testament to themes of deception, treachery, and the inevitable repercussions that follow. The screens sprang to life, revealing a cascade of text messages exchanged between Ryan and Sophia, provocative images, financial documents, and the divorce papers, where Ryan's name was already inscribed as the boy's new stepfather. Ryan's complexion drained of color. Matthew, allow me to elucidate. Could you clarify what you mean? How you feigned friendship while betraying me with my wife? What led you to persuade her to take from our shared accounts? How did you intend to seize control of my business while I fulfilled my obligations for your children? Are the boys mine? Ryan appeared utterly astonished. Were you unaware? Matthew let out a harsh, mirthless laugh. Goodness, Ryan, you're proving to be even more foolish than I had imagined. The sound of car doors slamming echoed from outside. Sophia had made her entrance. She strode into the factory, chin held high, exuding an air of ownership and defiance. Yet, as she gazed upon the screens revealing her deepest betrayals, her confidence shattered like fragile glass. Matthew, what on earth is this? This is the reckoning, Matthew stated with a quiet finality. Sophia glanced from Matthew to Ryan, her mind whirring as she assessed the situation with the keen instinct of a seasoned strategist. Very well, then. You discovered the truth. What of it? Our marriage had already reached its end. I took the necessary steps that were required of me. What was required of you? For the first time, Matthew's voice ascended. Did you really have to fabricate the truth about paternity? Did you really have to resort to stealing money? To orchestrate a thorough financial ruin while feigning affection for me? My feelings for you were never rooted in love. Sophia let out a piercing scream as her mask slipped away entirely. You are uninteresting, diminutive, and pitiable. Ryan presents me with a tangible existence, a stark contrast to this working-class ordeal. With a sudden surge of bravery, Ryan took a step forward. Matthew, I regret that it has come to this, but Sophia is correct. She is worthy of far more than what you are able to offer her. Improved? With a firm grip, Matthew lifted a hefty wrench from the cluttered surface of his tool table. Are you suggesting a man on the brink of losing it all due to tax fraud? A man whose livelihood has been abruptly halted by the shadow of chemical contamination? As if a man has been unwittingly nurturing another man's offspring while that man engaged in intimate acts with his wife? Ryan's cheeks burned with a deep crimson hue. You scoundrel of a sorceress. Did you really sabotage my warehouse? I resolved the issue, Matthew stated with an icy demeanor, just as I mend all other matters. With a sudden burst of energy, Ryan propelled himself forward, his fists flailing in a chaotic arc aimed at Matthew's head. Yet, Matthew had spent his whole life laboring with his hands, while Ryan had dedicated his efforts to navigating the complexities of stock portfolios. The skirmish unfolded in a mere 15 seconds. Matthew evaded Ryan's awkward swing and landed a solid blow to his solar plexus, causing him to double over in pain. With a swift motion, he seized Ryan by the collar and thrust him against the unforgiving concrete wall, the impact jarring enough to rattle his teeth. Do you wish to challenge me? Matthew whispered sharply into Ryan's ear. You seek to take my wife, my children, my wealth, my enterprise, and now you wish to confront me as well. With a swift motion, Matthew whirled Ryan around and brought the wrench crashing into his face. Not severe enough to inflict lasting harm, yet forceful enough to shatter his nose, sending crimson rivulets cascading down his costly shirt. Ryan fell to his knees, his hands gripping his face as soft whimpers escaped his lips. His once smooth confidence dissipated, revealing a shattered, bleeding soul, pleading for mercy. Please, Ryan gasped. Kindly refrain from bringing my journey to a close. Terminate you? Matthew appeared truly bewildered. Ryan, I find myself reluctant to proceed with this. I wish for you to experience a life that stretches far into the future. Each day of that life should be a reminder of the profound sensation of losing everything you hold dear. Matthew glanced at Sophia, who was cowering against the wall, Fear etched across her face. It's your moment now. Matthew, I implore you to consider the boys. Contemplate our family. Is it our family? Matthew engaged another screen, revealing the legal documents that Sophia had meticulously prepared. These documents suggest that we lack a family. These documents suggest that you intended to take my sons and my money, vanishing into Ryan's mansion. They do not belong to you as sons. Sophia let out a piercing scream. They were never that. You were merely the fool who financed it all while I crafted a genuine existence. The words lingered in the atmosphere, thick and suffocating, like a toxic fog. Matthew nodded with a measured deliberation, as though Sophia had just validated a complex theorem. There it is, he murmured softly. At last, the truth emerges. Matthew approached Ryan, who lay on the concrete floor, blood seeping from his wounds. He seized Ryan's phone and discovered Sophia's contact details. Have you ever pondered the fascinating aspects of contemporary technology? Matthew remarked in a casual tone. All is captured in the annals of time. Each message, each conversation, every act of treachery. He activated the phone's speaker, allowing Sophia's voice to fill the room through the recording. Matthew is truly a pitiable figure. When this concludes, I will possess his home, his wealth, and his children, while he finds himself in a modest studio apartment, remitting alimony to me for the remainder of his wretched existence. Ryan gazed up at Sophia, his expression one of sheer horror. You professed your love for me. I appreciate what you offer, Sophia responded with a chill, much like how I utilized Matthew for his contributions. It's a matter of intelligence. Matthew extracted a final folder, the most substantial one of all. In the realm of intellect, allow me to illustrate the depths of my cleverness. The folder held a collection of legal documents that Matthew had meticulously assembled with a divorce attorney renowned for handling paternity fraud cases. Inside were financial records that substantiated Sophia's theft, evidence pointing to Ryan's tax evasion, and even the documentation outlining their scheme to deceitfully claim child support. Matthew explained that the essence of revenge lies not in violence. The matter at hand revolves around repercussions. Inherent, lawful, and catastrophic repercussions. He distributed copies of the documents to Sophia and Ryan. Sophia, you are facing charges of paternity fraud, theft, and conspiracy. Ryan, you find yourself entangled in allegations of tax evasion, business fraud, and conspiracy to commit identity theft. Sophia's hands trembled as she perused the documents. This cannot be done. I am the mother of those children. Those children deserve better than a deceitful woman for a mother, Matthew said softly. Legally, given that you engaged in paternity fraud, you are obligated to reimburse me for every cent of child support I provided for children you were aware were not mine. Ryan fought to rise, his hand pressed against his shattered nose. Matthew, how about we strike a bargain? I am able to compensate you. Wealth, anything your heart desires. What I desire, Matthew declared, is for both of you to grasp the profound sensation of losing everything you believed was rightfully yours. With a decisive push, he activated a button on the remote control. The factory's screens flickered to life, streaming directly to the social media accounts that Matthew had meticulously crafted. Every harsh word exchanged between Sophia and Ryan, every unkind revelation, every instance of their utter ethical decay was being broadcast to their friends, families, and professional acquaintances. Sophia observed in disbelief as her real estate peers started to chime in on the live stream. Her phone erupted with a flurry of calls and messages, each one a reminder of her meticulously built reputation disintegrating before her eyes. You're tearing us apart, she murmured. You brought this upon yourselves, Matthew replied. I'm simply ensuring that everyone is aware of it. Matthew strode toward the exit, leaving Sophia and Ryan to confront the repercussions of their decisions. At the threshold, he paused and glanced over his shoulder. Oh, and Ryan, the insurance company reached out to you. The damage to the warehouse remains uncovered. It appears that your policy does not extend to cover criminal activities. By Christmas, you may find yourself facing bankruptcy. Matthew, wait, Sophia called out as she stepped forward. Refrain. Matthew's voice froze her in place. Refrain from uttering my name. Please refrain from reaching out to me. Please refrain from visiting the house. My lawyer is available to communicate with yours. That is all. What of the boys? Matthew came to a halt. For an instant, his meticulously restrained anger faltered, revealing the anguish that lay beneath. The boys shall be just fine. They will be blessed with a father who genuinely loves them, not merely a sperm donor who views them as a means to an end, and they will have a mother who— Matthew regarded Sophia with a gaze tinged with a semblance of pity. In truth, they may require therapy to navigate the complexities of having you as their mother. Matthew abandoned them in the desolate factory, surrounded by shattered dreams and wounded souls. The live stream persisted in transmitting their degradation to the entire globe. Half a year had passed when Matthew found himself in family court, attentively absorbing the judge's voice as it delivered the final custody ruling. Sophia was deemed guilty of paternity fraud, compelled to compensate Matthew for 13 years of deceitful child support payments. She had forfeited her real estate license, her home, and her standing in the community. The finalization of Ryan's bankruptcy had occurred in the month prior. His assets had been seized by the IRS, and he found himself confronting federal charges of tax evasion. The man who had once resided in a grand mansion now found himself in a modest studio apartment, toiling away at a chain restaurant. Yet, the most cherished moment unfolded during Evan's Little League game the subsequent spring. Matthew occupied a spot in the stands, his voice rising in exuberant cheer as his son, Evan, who embodied the essence of sonship in every conceivable way, connected with the ball, sending it soaring for a double to left field. Sophia emerged next to the bleachers, her appearance weary and filled with a sense of urgency. She had shed 30 pounds, while the passage of time had added 5 years and 12 months to her life. "Matthew?" she murmured softly. "Please, can we talk?" Matthew's gaze remained fixed on the field. "There is nothing to discuss. The boys long for my presence. Inquire they do about my existence. The young men are engaged in therapy, navigating the complexities of having a mother who deceived them throughout their lives. They are doing well. I have erred. Decisions were made." At last, Matthew turned his gaze toward her. "Every action carries its own set of consequences. You imparted that wisdom to me." Sophia's eyes brimmed with tears. "I am currently employed at a grocery store, Matthew, residing in a cozy one-bedroom apartment. All that I held dear has slipped away." "Excellent." The solitary word struck Sophia with the force of a tangible impact. She lingered for a moment, coming to terms with the fact that the man she had once manipulated and betrayed had transformed into someone entirely unrecognizable. Something more challenging. A force impervious to tears or persuasion. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm not," Matthew responded. As Evan rounded second base, he set his sights on third, his determination evident with each stride. Matthew rose to his feet, his voice ringing out in exuberant cheers for the boy who, without hesitation, called him Dad, transcending the bounds of mere genetics. Sophia turned and walked away, her shoulders trembling with unvoiced grief. She never sought Matthew out again. As dusk settled, Matthew gently tucked both boys into their beds within the home he had skillfully preserved through astute legal strategies. Jake embraced him firmly. "Father, do you find joy in this moment?" Matthew's lips curled into a smile, the first authentic expression of joy he'd experienced in 2 long years. "Indeed, my friend, I find myself quite content." "Good," Jake murmured, his voice thick with sleep. "Happiness is your rightful pursuit." With a flick of the switch, Matthew extinguished the lights and descended the stairs to his workshop. A photograph adorned the wall, capturing a moment with him and the boys at the school science fair from the previous month. Nestled beneath the tool rack, almost obscured from view, lay the Polaroid that had ignited it all. Matthew retrieved the photo, gazing at it for one last moment that he fed it into the paper shredder, observing as Sophia's self-satisfied expression vanished into the mechanical jaws that devoured deceit with the same precision they had once dismantled paternity tests. The neighborhood outside lay in a serene hush, enveloped in tranquility. Matthew's repair truck rested in the driveway, companion to a newer model he had managed to acquire once Sophia's restitution payments began to flow in. Matthew Collins had come to understand a significant truth regarding the repercussions of his actions. At times, their arrival was delayed, yet when they finally appeared, they proved to be well worth the anticipation. Some mechanics repair machines, while others mend lives. Matthew had accomplished both tasks.